No questions asked. You can come here anytime you want to. And see, that's why Obama is embracing Raul Castro. Castro is a communist, and Obama is one. So if they're going to work with each other, then obviously they have to be able to without making everybody else think, how did this happen? You know? In a nutshell, that's basically what I wanted to say in this video. That Donald Trump is the only one that makes sense. And the yuppies of this country who don't like Obama, or I mean who do love Obama, and that represents most of them, they're the ones that put him in there in the first place. I wonder, with Obama being a socialist, why they cannot stand up and say, we're going to abolish this whole process of the electoral Congress. Because Obama's done such a great job, we're not going to let him leave office because he's done such a terrific job. That's what everybody keeps saying on YouTube. When they leave comments, they say, oh, you're an idiot. It's like, if you want Obama indefinitely, why aren't you out there saying, on television or picketing or saying, let's not have another president. Let's just stick with Obama. He's been so great, you know, and that's what all they've been saying for the past 8 years. Obama's the greatest thing that ever existed. Obama's the greatest president we've ever had. Really? What's he done to prove that? People just play dumb. They play dead. Mentally, they play dead. Because they don't want to hear it. Those are the ones that represent Ted Cruz and all the other candidates who were saying, I can't support Donald Trump. And it's like, fine, the American people already said they want him. Take a hike, Cruz. They don't want you. They want Donald Trump because he's the only one that makes sense. He's the one that wants to get us out of the mess that Obama has put us into. So it's time for America to say enough is enough. We have voted. We have chosen who we're going to vote for. Accept it or get out of Washington. And that's exactly what I would say to Ted Cruz, and I would say to every other candidate that ran, including Jeb Bush. George W. Bush, when he left office in 2007, this is what he said. I wash my hands of whatever happens hereafter. And that's exactly how he has done himself as former president since. He ain't never said a word. Never said nothing to the American people after he left office. Then all of a sudden Jeb Bush comes up and says, well, I want to try to do what my brother did. People are like, George Bush didn't do anything after he left office. He didn't stand up and say, I think Obama's wrong about doing what he's doing, forcing stuff on people that they don't want. Now the American people have spoken out and said, we want Donald Trump to be our president. And what's Bush saying? Oh, you're idiots. You know, Obama, shoot, man, he's an idiot. Flat out. He goes on national television because he's president and he can say to people, you guys ain't facing reality. Well, if reality, Obama, is you, what you represent, socialism, communism, we do not want Hillary Clinton. I don't want a woman having her hand on the button because she'll never push it. Russia and China will. North Korea, Iran, they'll all nuke on us. And Hillary will be like, I can't make that decision, you know. You want a woman making that decision? She ain't going to make the decision. She's going to sit there on her butt and click her nails and say, oh, I can't make the decision. And it's like, that's what you're here for. That's what you're president for. She can't do the job. And then she lies about her email. Oh, it was never compromised. And then they have that guy they found who was a hacker. He goes on television and says, it wasn't just open for everybody to look at. He says, I hacked it more than 3 times. I know what's in there. Then the government can't stand up for itself and say, you know, he's right. It was actually compromised. They go say, oh, that couldn't have happened. People. What is wrong with America anymore? What is wrong with us as a nation? Why cannot people see what's going on and say, this is stupidity at its best? And the American people, those representing Obama, deal, you know. And then Donald Trump wins all the nominations. And they're like, we can't have that. We can't allow that. We got to stop that, you know. American people have spoken, folks. It's over. American people want Donald Trump. If you don't like it, pack up and go to Russia. I guarantee you, Delta's ready to take you there anytime you want to. Delta's there to take you to Cuba. Delta's there to take you to North Korea or Iran or wherever you want to go where there's already a communist regime in power, just like Obama. They'll take you there in 5 hours if you want to go. But believe me, when you get there, you're going to say, it ain't no different than America. You know, that's what you're going to see when you get there. It's going to be the same country. Because all communists think alike, all communists work alike. Whether it be Pyongyang, Tehran, Beijing, Moscow, or Washington, D.C., it's the same place. It's no different. No different at all. It's the same place. And that's what's called the New World Order. Socialism is acquiring all nations of the world into a consortium, forming them through the national banks of each country, and making all of them submit to one leader. Now, who is that leader? I know who it's going to be. It's going to be the Antichrist himself. He's going to control all these countries. But you see, Obama has helped it all get into total fruition because now he's made friends with Cuba, and that's the only other nation that's close enough to the United States that could have threatened us. And now Obama's hugging them, kissing them, dancing with them, everything. And that's why the United States as a country is doomed. Because now we've had a communist leader who says we are going to take whatever we have to take from the United States and we're going to give it to countries, in this case some third world countries that don't have financial backing. And he's giving it to them. And this way all of them can be created into that consortium. In other words, we're all equal because now we've got money from the United States and we can make ourselves look exactly like all the other countries. So, the United States, I think, is shot. I think if we're ever going to get back to what we were, we have to get rid of Obama. We have to keep Obama and his philosophies out of Washington, out of the White House. And how do you do that? You put somebody in there who has a half a cent's brain, and that's Donald Trump. Because Ted Cruz is an idiot, and so is all the other candidates. They all have the philosophy that the Democrats have. It's more important for us to have conformity and compliance than it is for us as a nation to stand up and say, we are free and we're going to fight for that freedom and we're not going to give in to whatever the socialists or the communists tell us to live with. And that, folks, is the only way that this country is going to survive. You stand up for your rights. You stand up for who you are. You don't let the bigots of socialism or communistic viewpoints say, we want equality, we want conformity, we want everybody to see themselves equal. You're living in a utopia society attitude, totalitarianism. That's what Adolf Hitler proved to the Germans. He said, if you want utopia in Germany, you have to accept the National Socialist Party. And they did. They accepted it. And over time they found out that the Nazis were more inhuman than the Germans ever thought they were. They were murdering and executing millions of innocent people who were of the Jewish faith in those concentration camps. You've had Ahmadinejad, who was Prime Minister of Iran, say that never happened. Oh yeah, he said that. He may not be in power anymore, but that philosophy is still very much a true fact all over this world in communist nations. They don't want people to remember what happened during the Nazis' reign in Germany. They want people to forget about it. And they'll even denounce it and say it never happened in the first place. Well, I got news for you. It did happen. There are mass graves right now in Auschwitz, Buchenwald, all those different concentration camps. They have massive graves. That means they couldn't bury each human being. They had to dump them all into a massive grave and then fill it with concrete on the top. And that's where all those millions of people are now. They were inhumanely treated, even to the point where they died and they were just piled in the mounds. And that's how they buried them. And communism and socialism upholds those philosophies and those views that a human being is nothing but an animal. And I don't think America wants to sit by and say, we don't care anymore about those people. We don't care what happened. I think if you're a human being, you have to have compassion to say, what happened 70 years ago was wrong, and we're not going to let it happen again. And that's what Americans have to stand up for and say, we're not going to let Obama tell us how we should live and what we should do, or how we should think, or how we should live, or what we want to believe in. Because Hillary Clinton said that even last year. She said, you know, to have utopia, we all have to abandon our religion. She said that verbatim. We have to abandon our religion. We have to abandon everything about ourselves, because that's the only way conformity will happen. And that's really, really scary if you think about people saying that Hillary Clinton should be our president, when she's telling you your right to live, the right to be a human being, is really my decision, it's my choice. And that's what Hillary Clinton said last year. Even before she started campaigning, she said, you have to give up religion. You have to give up your freedom of everything, because it's in your best interest. It's in the best interest of America that what you are and who you are, it only should comply with what the government tells you. You know, what Obama was saying that in his first 2 years of his presidency in 2008, he was saying, you can't do that without the government. He said, you didn't build that. Somebody else made that happen. In other words, he's saying, I'm denouncing and devaluing you as an individual, because you can't function unless the government does it. And he's been saying that same crap ever since. He's been saying that ever since 2008. He said, change you can believe in. What kind of change have we seen in 8 years that's been good for America, that's helped America? I haven't seen it. I've seen a destruction of America, but I have not seen an improvement in America. The race war is stronger now than it's ever been before he became president. The blacks are killing cops now more than they've ever done. They're shooting people randomly all the time now. I mean, isn't that why people kept saying that Obama was the greatest president? Because being black, he was going to unify people. He was going to make the nation better. He ain't done that. He's divided the United States to the point where we're almost at a civil war right now. That's supposed to be a great thing for his presidency. He'll be looked at in the future as the greatest black president who ever lived, because he made more distrust and just disregard for people than any other president. Hey, there you go, Obama. Congratulations, you approved it. You certainly made it happen. If America's going to survive, we have to stand up for what we know is right. And that means standing against socialism, tyranny, communism, totalitarianism. Obama has said it since day one. I'm a socialist, and I uphold and stand by socialistic views. Socialism is communism. Communism is world domination through subversive control of its citizens and of its people, of its infrastructure, of its economy. And that's what China does right now. That's what North Korea does right now. That's what communistic Cuba does right now. That's what Russia has been doing. We don't even know what Putin's doing anymore, because he closed off the entire country. You know what it is? It's just a larger Soviet Union, even though they're not going to say Soviet anymore. But they are still that same group of people that Nikita Khrushchev was ruling, that Brezhnev was ruling, all these other people, even back to Stalin. It's just a bigger version of itself. It's still the Soviet Union. It's the same group. It's the same group it always has been.